I'm not Arab. I'm not Muslim. I'm Spanish.
A Spaniard entered Mecca, prayed before the Kaaba, drank from the sacred Zamzam well, deceived ulamas, sultans, and thousands of faithful Muslims. He was not a Muslim. He was not an Arab. He was a spy, a scientist, a man alone, and he did it for Spain. Europe is burning. We are at the beginning of the 19th century. England ruled the seas, France ruled the land, and Spain survived. With Godoy pulling the strings and a court more interested in pomp than in science. But amidst all that chaos, something unusual emerged. A plan. The Sharifian Kingdom, or what will become present-day Morocco, was the target, the strait, in fact the key. Whoever controlled North Africa would have real power. Cannons weren't enough. Something more was needed. A ghost. Domingo Badía y from Barcelona, enlightened, polyglot astronomer, a man of science, a Spaniard who did not seek glory but to understand the world. But his mind was too brilliant to stay locked up in an office. And Godoy saw it. Morocco was a closed land, hostile to foreigners. Only someone who looked like one of them could get in. It wasn't enough to speak Arabic, you had to be Arab. And Domingo died. Literally. He prepared for years. He memorized Islamic genealogies, the schools of jurisprudence, the greeting formulas, the gestures, the silences. He got circumcised. He prayed. He fasted. He learned to move like a prince of the desert. He became a Muslim. That's how Ali Bey El Abbasi was born. Supposed Syrian prince, direct descendant of the caliphs of Baghdad. Educated in Europe, noble, wise, pious. In 1803, he landed in Tangier like a lord. Entourage, gifts, astronomical instruments, a perfectly written letter of introduction. And him, with his spotless robe, his dark beard, and an unwavering gaze. From the very first moment, Morocco fell under his spell. He traveled to Fez, then to Marrakesh. The news spread quickly. A wise prince was coming from the east. Sultan Moulay Suleiman wanted to meet him. And there, at the Moroccan court, Ali Bey dazzled everyone. He spoke about astronomy, about Europe, about Al-Andalus, about religion. He was a well of knowledge and faith. The Sultan adopted him as an advisor. He made him Kasek, a favorite. But Badía was not blinded. He corrected the European maps. He took astronomical measurements. He analyzed the fauna, the flora, the geology, and the climate. He observed the army. He understood the economy. He documented the customs, the laws, the tribes, all for his country, Spain. But the higher he flew, the more enemies he made. Who was that wise foreigner? Why did the Sultan listen to him so much? Domingo knew that if he made a wrong move, he would end up tortured in a cell or hanged in a square. When he learned that the tension was rising, he asked for permission for something sacred, the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. The Sultan could not refuse. That's how he left Morocco. He was venturing into the forbidden land, where no one who is not a Muslim can set foot without dying. And he, Domingo Badía, a Spaniard, a Christian, would do it. The Hajj, a river of bodies moving toward the most sacred place in Islam. Thousands of worshippers, all united by faith, by the obligation to make a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their lifetime. He crossed the desert like anyone else. None of them knew they were walking alongside a Christian in disguise. Before arriving, he passed through Cairo, a feverish city, a mix of science and superstition, of Islamic scholars and soldiers, of bazaars and mosques. There, Alabi continued his double life. As an Abbasid prince, he was received with respect. As an educated spy, he took notes. He was preparing for what was coming. And then he made it. Year 1807. Alabi, the false prince, set foot inside the sacred city. He entered Mecca, the forbidden city, the city that no non-Muslim European had set foot in and lived to tell the tale. His heart must have been pounding like a war drum. He took part in all the rituals. He circled the Kaaba 7 times, as tradition commands. He touched the black stone. He symbolically cast out the devil in Medina. He climbed Mount Arafat. He drank from the Zamzam well. And while everyone thought they saw a prince, he was observing architecture, commerce, geology, meteorology. No one found him out. After Mecca came Medina, the second holiest place in Islam. Another city closed to anyone who wasn't Muslim. He lived for weeks at the epicenter of Islamic faith, and not as a spectator, but as one of them. A lie so absolute that reality itself began to blur the boundaries. Because in the journals he left behind, you feel that Badía not only pretended, but in a way, he also admired the beauty of the rituals, the dignity of the poor who made pilgrimages with nothing but hope as their baggage. And there, in the middle of that impossible journey, he built a legacy that no Frenchman or Englishman had ever achieved. The most precise and complete vision of Islam from within. The place where no Christian had ever reached, not even as a crusader. Not even as a merchant, not even as a diplomat. Only him, Domingo Badía Ali Bey. And now it was time to return. But Spain, his Spain, was broken. The war against Napoleon had left a deep wound. He was prefect in Córdoba under the rule of Joseph Bonaparte. Then in Valencia, he governed with order, with knowledge, with an enlightened vision. He tried to modernize, rationalize, and clean up rotten structures. Afrancesado had become a damning label. He had served the enemy. He was now a traitor. The restoration of Ferdinand VII left no room for nuances. Badía understood it quickly. He simply left. He went into exile in Paris with the same loneliness with which he crossed the deserts of Arabia. However, he did not give up. In 1818, the government of Louis XVIII called him back. He was offered a new mission in the East. Syria, some said. Maybe an uprising against the Ottoman Empire. Maybe a maneuver to stop the British. The truth is, he accepted, because maybe he didn't know how to live any other way. Because maybe he no longer had a homeland. He didn't come back. He died near Damascus. Some say it was dysentery. Others believe he was poisoned. That the English, fed up with him, decided to get rid of him. Nothing was confirmed. And that is perhaps the cruelest part. That his end, like his life, remained shrouded in silence without a known grave. That is how one of the greatest explorers and spies of his time met his end. The only Spaniard who prayed in Mecca without being a Muslim, who deceived the most powerful, who risked his life every day for a cause that no one remembered anymore. Europe mentioned him in its books. Spain, on the other hand, erased him. Because here, forgetting is the norm, and indifference a punishment. Because the most painful thing is that his country never knew what to do with him. It never knew whether to hang him as a traitor or put up a statue of him as a pioneer. And when in doubt, it forgot him. However, his life was one of the greatest intellectual feats that Spain has ever produced. To enter the very heart of Islam, what Badía did was inspiring. It was translating one world for another. And he did it with a rigor that neither the French nor the English, with all their empire and arrogance, were able to match. Domingo Badía represents that enlightened, bold, erudite Spain, open to the world, that existed and was so often sacrificed in the name of blind obedience. This channel is not here to repeat what the books already say. It's here to look upon our dead and tell them that even if it's late, they are not completely forgotten. And you who have made it this far can no longer forget it, and that is also a victory. You can help me share our story with the whole world for less than the price of a coffee a month. Become a member